Hey, what's going on? Welcome to The Doug Show. My name's Doug Cunnington. In this episode, I interview Mackenzie Fly. She is a digital nomad and world traveler, and she happens to be my VA as well. So we met through YouTube, and initially she helped me a lot with just YouTube stuff, thumbnails, descriptions, and all the admin, all the details of YouTube. But as we started working together more and more, she started helping me with whatever I needed help with, like affiliate sites, niche site project, my podcast, and so on. If this happens to be the first episode of The Doug Show that you're listening to, that's awesome. Thanks for checking it out. I encourage you to check out some of the other digital nomad interviews in this series. So there's like 3 or 4 others at least. And depending on when you're listening to this, there may be several more. So definitely check out some of the other interviews that I've done recently with digital nomads. Before I send it to the interview, I want to tell you 2 things. Number 1, if you're interested in learning about my process for creating an affiliate site, which potentially can allow you to be a digital nomad and travel, or at least make a little money on the side, you should go to nichesiteproject.com, click the green button, enter your name and email address, and then I'll send you an email with a link to all sorts of goodies. So I freely give out all the templates that I use and that sort of thing. I'll put a link in the show notes just in case you're driving or something like that and you can't do it. So just check out the show notes whenever you get a chance. And the second thing is actually it's a little bit longer, so I'll put a pin in it and we'll talk about it after the interview. But my wife and I are selling our townhome by owner, and we kind of went back and forth on whether to use a realtor or not, and maybe giving it a shot. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit after the interview. So if you ever thought about, trying to sell your place on your own, I'll tell you where we are right now and the emotional roller coaster that we're going through. So here's the interview, and be sure to check out Mackenzie on YouTube and Instagram. I will put links in the show notes. Give her a shout. Let her know that you heard about her from The Doug Show. Hey, what's up? Doug Cunnington here from Niche Site Project. I'm with my friend Mackenzie. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Doug?
Doing great. I'm enjoying the good weather. I can see the mountains. It's clear skies. It's not snowing today. So awesome. It's pretty nice. How is it where you're at?
It's good. It's cold, but yes, no snow today, which was nice. So,
and actually, this is a good segue. So where are you at right now?
So I'm in Berlin, Germany right now. Germany in the winter months is very cold, especially in Berlin. It's very far north. So even if it's not snowing, temperatures are probably just above freezing most during the day.
And this is, again, a good segue. So you're obviously not German. You don't have a German accent. You're a digital nomad. This is part of the Digital Nomad Location Independent series. And most people that are watching right now probably don't know who you are. So Mackenzie, can you give us a little intro? Why are you in Berlin and how'd you get there? All that stuff.
Yeah, of course. So I'm also another YouTuber. I make videos about being a digital nomad, travel, and also some inspirational content as well. So basically how I got from being living in the US, so living here in Germany now, I was working a typical 9-to-5 job and I just kind of got fed up with it. So I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to quit my job and move to Hawaii. So that's kind of what I did. And then I quit with no job or anything. I just decided to just go take the leap, and I had some savings saved up, so that was kind of like my buffer. But quit my job, moved to Hawaii, and then went back home for a little bit, and then that's when I kind of found my teaching. So I teach English online, and I do other things as well. So then went from home, which is Colorado, and then came here to Europe, and I spent just the last month and a half traveling around, and then came to Berlin and just decided to kind of settle here for a little bit. So that's my story.
Wow. So, and it's always a little shocking when, you don't have a job in place. You didn't really have a plan. So I guess, how do you deal with that mentally? Because that sort of freaks me out. I don't have kids personally. I know a lot of people do. Yeah. You don't have kids, right?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it may be easier for people without kids to do that. But even still, I'm like, you didn't have a job, you moved, you had a little savings. So tell me, like, mentally, what was that like?
Yeah, it was really scary. I remember telling myself, this is a really stupid idea. Like, I told myself that all the time. Like, Mackenzie, you are being so stupid right now. You are being so irresponsible. But I think I just always knew in the back of my head that it was going to work out. Like, I feel like I just kind of trusted that I was going to find the things that I needed to find in order to support this lifestyle that I wanted. And I was willing to like work towards that. So, I kind of put the word out there that I wanted to find something remote. And then I ended up, making friends with people here on YouTube. And that's how I got into like teaching and stuff. So I think I just always knew in the back of my brain that I was going to work out, even if maybe, the front part of my brain was like, this is so irresponsible. Like, you shouldn't be doing this right now.
Right.
So, yeah.
Cool. So, and tell me more about the teaching gig. What's it like? How many hours do you have to put in? And I guess for people that may be interested in that like line of work, or at least to pick up some freelance hours, what could they expect?
Yeah. So basically, I made friends with somebody on YouTube who was also an English teacher online. So I work for this company. It's called 51 Talk, and they teach kids in China. So I get to teach kids who are like as young as 3 and then also adults as well. But the great thing about it is it's so flexible. So I can either work 30 hours a month, or I can work like 100 hours a month, or, even more than that. Like it's all completely flexible and whatever I want my schedule to be. And and it's really fun. You get to teach little kids. That's like really fun. And then also too, it's basically how much money you make is how much work you want to put in. So if I'm really lazy a month, I don't have to work that much. But if I really want to make a lot of money and I'm like struggling, then I can teach as much as I possibly can and actually make like not bad money. So I really like that about that as well. It just really depends how much work you want to put in.
What like experience level would a person need to have to get started? So
I know for this company, you need a bachelor's degree, and they also are looking for native speakers as well. Or if you got your bachelor's degree from like an English university, but I think they're really looking for native speakers, just because as a native speaker, it's very easy for us to just teach English because we've been learning English, since we were kids and stuff. And so for me, it's not very hard for me to just teach English. So, and then also accent too and slang and things like that. I think that it sounds weird to say, but like the Chinese market, like they really love to have like native speakers teach their kids. So
got it. Very cool. And it's pretty neat because a lot of my audience, they're into like the digital marketing and niche websites. And there's a lot of like work you have to do before you can get paid, right? You could work for 4 or 6 months before you really see much money. But in a service type, teaching industry, it's like, it's a service, right? You do the work, you get paid right away. So that is probably a really nice way to bridge the gap to, get into other stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's definitely a means to an end at this point. Like, I definitely don't want to teach forever. And I think I do want to segue more into the digital marketing stuff because that was my background originally. I was working for a tourism company and, doing digital marketing for them for a couple of years. So just teaching right now is just something that is like my main income while I start building up that base. But once that base is there, I think I'm definitely not going to teach anymore. It's a great segue, and I've been doing it for, I think, almost 6 months now. So maybe like 5 months. So, and then, this is when I'm finally starting to see maybe more of that client base building up. So yeah, it's just a means to an end at this point. So very cool. So you mentioned a couple times that you met with YouTubers who hooked you up with different ideas and you made some good friends. Like, how long have you been on YouTube? Tell me about that journey.
Yeah, so I've been on YouTube for about 2 years now, which sounds really crazy. But yeah, so at the first probably year, I feel like I wasn't very committed to it. I think it was until about the last year, I really started committing a lot more time and a lot more energy towards it. And that's when I really started to see kind of the growth. It's still growing right now. But I think once I made that mindset switch to be like, you know what, like maybe YouTube can actually be something that brings a lot of opportunities for me. That's when I started to put more energy into it. And then it's funny, once I did, that's when things started to kind of take off as far as like finding these other things as well. So making friends and building up those other sources of income. So that's really, really cool about YouTube. There's so many opportunities there, even if it's not just for like tons of subscribers, just meeting people and collaborating with them is a great resource in itself. So,
right. And do you have any tips for people like networking on YouTube or anything like that?
Yeah. So I think the number one thing that I would say is, I think there's like this saying that's like, be a fan to get fans. So what I like to do is, if there's somebody that I really feel like I would connect with very well, I would just watch their videos all the time, commenting, not being like stalkerish, but just be leaving them a nice comment, nice comment, being like, I love your content. You know, I love this and this about it. And that's how I've made a lot of my friends that way, just being really supportive and very nice, and never like trying to promote myself, because I feel like at this point, like, YouTube is great, but I'm not just about that. Like, I want to build this community. So yeah, just like being supportive of other people, like you lift each other up. And I think that's the best way to become successful at something, is to lift other people. So.
Very cool. And I think it's funny you mentioned the stalkerish thing. Like, don't be stalkerish, though. Just a tip for everyone. Don't be stalkerish in basically like anything you do. But it's super easy. You know, I'm a fan of YouTubers or podcasters, and you spend so much time watching their content. You really personally, like, you feel like you know them, but of course they have no idea who you are. So, you know, tread lightly as you're like making friends with people, right? Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think there's like definitely a large gap between like the stalkers and like people who are just like cool and they just like want to be friends with you. But yeah, I think just like being like genuinely nice, and like, you know, I love when people are very active on my channel, and I love watching like other people that I would love to like be friends with and being active on their channels. And I really think that's like the secret formula. So just don't like send, I'm not sure if I'm like allowed to say this, but don't send like personal Facebook messages, like a ton of them, saying like how much like you like want to marry me or something like that. That's a little bit too much. But other than that, you're fine.
Yeah. The Facebook messages, it's just a bit much. So yeah, lay off of this.
All the social media stuff is a lot. So it's a lot to keep track of.
Okay. And shifting gears a little bit. So you mentioned that you've traveled a decent number of places. I know that because we've had a couple of conversations already, but actually, we'll do a quick callback here. We tried to record this like a couple times last week, and we had major tech issues. Today, it seems to be working okay. But that's the reason why I know that you have traveled in a lot of places in a short amount of time. Can you tell me the places that you went to, and when did you start again? So
for this trip, I started in July. So that's when I went to Hawaii. I was in Hawaii for 2 months, and I did go to the Big Island while I was there, but I was mainly on Oahu. And then I was in Boulder, Colorado, or Longmont, Colorado. That's where my family lives. And then when I came to Europe, I was in Sicily. So I did like a whole road trip around the island of Sicily. And then I went up to Rome and visited some of my YouTuber friends. It was there for about 10 days. And then I went up to Munich to visit another YouTuber friend. And I was there for about a week. And then, I've been in Berlin for 2 weeks now, a little bit over 2 weeks. Gotcha. So I'm kind of settled now. I think there was so much just traveling before. So now it feels nice to just, get a lot of work done and kind of be in one place. So.
Right. Yeah, and a few of the other interviews that I've done, and by the way, I could just throw in and say you visited Zoe in Rome, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so I've known Zoe for quite a while. So, she was going to be there and I was going to be in Italy. So it just kind of made sense. So yeah, no, that was really, really nice to be able to spend some time with her in her favorite country. So,
and I'll put, so the reason why I mentioned that is I know Zoe also, she was on the channel. I interviewed her, so I'll put a link below so people can get to it. And I guess the other thing to point out is, so you're sort of settled right now. You were moving around a lot, which sounds super fun, but also stressful when you're trying to work. So how do you deal with, I guess, traveling so much and then knowing that you do have to put in some hours to, pay the bills and afford to travel as well?
Yeah. So I think with teaching, it's a lot more stressful because I need to have a really quiet environment. I need to have really good Wi-Fi, and I can't have any like interruptions. So, cause it's really unprofessional when I'm teaching and my Wi-Fi is really bad and it keeps dropping my classroom. So it's a little bit more difficult because especially in Italy, the Wi-Fi was not that great. It was just kind of a struggle to always be looking for that and being like in the right spot and always having to figure that out. But I think it's just like making it a priority. So I would just have to kind of understand that I needed to make some sacrifices if I wanted to work. And that's kind of how I've kind of had to deal with it. But then, having like clients and stuff is really nice because then I can just go to a coffee shop and kind of still be out and be in the city and stuff, but I can still get a few hours in and, do stuff after that. So yeah, that's kind of always, you always have to make it a priority. Even if you're traveling, you can't always go out every day like you want to. But it's a sacrifice worth
right.
worth doing for sure.
Interesting. So on the idea of the digital nomad aspect versus location independent, this is a question that I've been asking people. So there's some distinction, and I guess, do you draw a distinction between a digital nomad and someone who has a location independent job? And if so, what are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I think there definitely is a distinction. I think location independence, when I think of location independence, I don't think necessarily like traveling all the time. Maybe, you do have like your 9-to-5 job and you're like living in a different city. That's kind of what I think of that. And then digital nomad is like traveling. It's like, backpacking with your laptop and you're going from place to place. And there are just like a little bit of different lifestyles, but I think they're still really nice, especially if you can find like a city that maybe isn't in your home country, but you can still work and live there. That's also really nice. Or if you want to travel and be out of your backpack and just bring your laptop with you and, trying to work in co-working spaces, that's also really nice too. So it just kind of, depends on the lifestyle that you want to live, I guess.
Right. So. And I guess, you're almost doing like a blend where you did a bunch of travel and then you got to settle down and relax for a minute.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think for me, I started to notice like my back started hurting from my backpack, and I was getting like kind of frustrated with like not having good Wi-Fi and stuff. And then also like not making as many like friends as maybe I wanted to. So that's kind of why I decided here in Berlin, because Berlin is such a cool city because there's so many co-working spaces and entrepreneurs and digital nomads and stuff. And then also Wi-Fi is excellent here. They have coffee shops. And I've met tons of digital nomads here, location independent people. So it's nice to be in a city like that and just kind of relax and let my back heal from my backpack.
Right. So when you rewind 6 months ago, when you were just about to, move out to Hawaii, who were you looking up to? Was anyone an inspiration specifically where you thought, hey, I want to walk in their footsteps or anything like that?
I think definitely my friend Zoe was a big inspiration for me. She was one to really push me when I was really unhappy in my job to kind of take the leap and just be like, it's going to work out for you. Like, no worries. So definitely for her, she's been such an inspiration for me for everything. But yeah, I was watching other YouTubers, like my another friend that I have, Marie, her name is Dream in Autumn on YouTube. She's the one that told me about teaching English. She was also a huge inspiration for me as well. And then also just kind of just knowing that was the path that I was going to eventually take as well. So,
Gotcha.
So yeah.
So what was your degree in?
I studied international relations.
Okay. So you got your degree and you were like, hey, I'm not sure what I want to do. And you ended up in a digital marketing type position.
Yeah. So I ended up traveling after university. So I did a 6-month backpacking trip. I went to China and India, and then I came here to Germany actually. And that's why I wanted to move to Germany eventually, because I loved it so much. And after that, I just kind of knew, I met a lot of freelancers and people that were doing digital marketing. And I also had a little travel blog. So I knew I wanted to maybe segue into YouTube videos and stuff like that. And then that's kind of when I was like, okay, I need to start making steps to get involved in this digital marketing area. And then I think also having that work experience, even though the desk wasn't fun, I think it was really nice working for a company or an association to kind of give me that foundation of experience. And then I think that was when I felt comfortable to be okay, I know I do have skills that I can potentially market to get clients for. So
you've been YouTubing for a couple years, you said. You haven't taken it seriously until more recently. Can you tell me sort of your channel's growth and I guess when you hit something where, hey, this is a great topic, I'm going to do more of it, I'm interested and the audience likes it?
I think digital nomadness right now is a huge trending topic. You know, you're doing like an interview series with it. So it's a huge topic right now. And I think once I started to segue into that and be like, hey, like, especially when I was in Hawaii, like I started making videos of me being in Hawaii and vlogs and stuff. And then showing like, okay, like I'm living in Hawaii because I'm like an English teacher and I work online and stuff. And then those started to really kind of take off. That was when I really kind of saw the growth that was a potential. And I think even right now, especially me coming to Europe and like meeting with all of my YouTuber friends that most of them I hadn't met in person before, that also really helped with growth, collaborating with them and stuff like that. And so it's just kind of been uphill from here, you know, just a huge spike. So it's been really awesome, actually. Like I feel like on a different level being here.
Yeah. Cool. So, congrats. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, you've been growing a lot as well. It's been pretty awesome.
Yeah. Well, like you said, it's just like, it's a lot of work to make the videos and, you know, come up with ideas. And then, well, one thing that I've noticed, and I'm curious to get your take on it, is people want to hear about a topic. And I feel like maybe I've said everything about that given topic, whatever it may be. However, there's still a lot more to be said, even if I'm just repeating myself in a lot of ways, just taking a different perspective on it. So it's not that I'm bored of the topic. It's just, I thought we already talked about that. But do you see a similar thing on your channel, topics and stuff?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think everybody kind of takes something different from it. And so maybe that's why it like the different perspectives kind of works, because maybe people resonate with one perspective more than the other. But yeah, sometimes like with teaching, like sometimes it's just like, oh my gosh, like so many like questions and so many different things. Like, but I thought I said that already, but people still don't quite understand like how it works. So it's something that, you know, I mean, it can always provide, you know, fresh content, even if, you know, you've already kind of repeated yourself.
Right. And just to be clear, I'm sure you'll agree with me again here, but we love answering the questions and doing the videos.
Yes, of course.
Yes. And then the other part that is, you know, it's obvious once I step back, it's like any given video could be the first time someone sees any of your content. Yeah, and absolutely. Even if you have 150 350 other videos, they may have not seen any of them, and it'll be great if they go through the archive, but like any given video could be the starting point. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's a great point. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And yeah, you never know who will see it and who maybe it'll change their life as well. So I like to think about it like that as too.
So how do you come up with like video ideas and your process? Do you outline it? Do you just talk just straight to the camera and don't worry about it? Like, just tell me about the process.
So, I mean, I go through my day and I like carry like a notebook with me. So like I have like my notebook here that I'll write down ideas. I was doing it like on my computer, on my phone, but I've lost sometimes my ideas from technology. So I like to just write them down. And I just, whenever I think of something like, oh, you know, I wonder how this works, or maybe, what is my process in this? Oh, it'd be great to make a video on that. I'll just kind of think about it like that. And then, usually I'll write out like a small outline, just my talking points. But then other than that, no, I just completely wing it. Yeah, I don't usually do much research or anything like that. But how about you? Do you do a lot of research, or do you just kind of talk?
So it's a blend, right? So some of them, like if it's just like on-screen type tutorials, then I'll still outline it just to make sure I don't waste time trying to find stuff. It makes editing easier later. And then there are some videos, some of my best videos, I've scripted it out. I actually have like a teleprompter, and I have like it's an app on my iPad, which is not next to me. I was about to hold it up, but it has like the glass set up, and it looks awesome. It cleans up my delivery, and for my course that I have, it's all done with a teleprompter. Everything's super intentional with the course. For YouTube, it's a little more natural. If people watch my videos, you realize it's a freaking mess sometimes. And, there's a lot of poor editing in there. It's gotten better over time. But yeah, a lot of times, like these days, I'll have like a loose outline. I'll just write like on a legal pad or whatever, and just have like a little outline to talk from, and just make sure I'm not going on too big of a tangent. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, the outline really helps with the editing. because sometimes if I don't have much of an outline, then I'm just rambling on. And then when I go back to edit, I'm saying and all these other things way too much because I'm just trying to sort through my thoughts. But having like an outline in front of you really, really helps with the editing. It cuts down on so much time.
Okay. So you do your own editing then?
Yeah, I do my own editing.
Okay.
I just use iMovie. It's free and really simple. I like simple. When it's really complicated, sometimes it takes a long time to learn. And I've been using iMovie for a couple years, so I know it pretty well.
So it's just faster. Yeah, and I'm definitely a fan of like just keeping things simple. And I used iMovie for a while until I moved over to do some of the ScreenFlow type stuff, and I use an app called ScreenFlow. And it's fine. Again, once you get over the learning curve, then it can do what we need to do most likely. So.
Yeah, for sure. I've been like looking into doing or using Premiere because I love like Adobe products, but I think I'm still a little bit scared of it because it is like a kind of a bigger step, I guess, in the editing process.
Right. I'd skip it. Unless you get a gig where you're doing video editing, but I've used, I think it was like Premiere. What is the typesetting app that they have? It's like what publishers use, right? Super powerful.
Yeah.
Almost, well, for me, it was like almost impossible to use. Like I couldn't like change the line spacing or the font. It was a total mess because I don't know how to use it. So I had to hire someone to just like format a book for me, basically. So it was really tough because I don't use Adobe stuff. So I would say unless you have to, just so and still geeking out on the YouTube stuff just because I'm interested in it. What kind of camera do you use? What's your gear look like? Just curious about all that stuff.
Yeah. So right now, I don't have it around me. Otherwise, I would show it. So I just have a Canon 70D, and I just use the stock lens, to be honest. And then I also have like an external mic. It's just a Rode video mic. Actually, I have it. It just looks like this. Cool. So it's super great quality sound, and it's pretty easy to travel with. I mean, it is like a little bit big. And then, I just have like a small camera bag and some extra batteries. And then I do travel with a tripod, but it can condense pretty small. I just got it like on Amazon. It condenses pretty small, so I can like my bag pretty easily. So
gotcha. Cool. And it's funny. I looked at the 70D and decided to get a T7i, but you've been doing this longer, so you probably got the 70D a little while back, right?
Yeah. So I got it, probably like almost 3 years ago. So I've had it for a while. Yeah. So it lasts pretty long. I mean, it's been all over the world with me. So, and hasn't broken or anything. So I'm pretty happy with it.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's super heavy duty. Definitely like a pro version. I know it's a little heavy, right?
Totally. Yeah. Well, I'm definitely looking into getting like a Canon G7X for sure, just because of vlogging with it. I'm doing more vlogging stuff now, and it's really heavy to carry around with me. And I also, sometimes I feel like it makes me kind of like a target. I mean, in Germany, it's okay. But like when I was traveling around like India and stuff, I think I really felt like a target when I would bring it out. So just having like a smaller camera with me to just kind of duck in my purse, I think would be smarter for me to vlog with.
Gotcha. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about traveling. Were you traveling alone in India?
Yeah, I was traveling alone in India. So that was a really big concern of mine. And I got some things stolen when I was in India as well. So I think I became extra careful after that happened. I tried to not like bring too much attention to myself. So
sure. Do you have any tips for like single females traveling to India, or maybe, another similar place where you would stand out as a Caucasian woman?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the number one tip is just to respect the culture. So like in India, it's very conservative. So you have to make sure that you dress appropriately and that you act appropriately. Like if you're traveling with, say, a boyfriend, make sure that you're not doing too much PDA. Make sure, you're not wearing like short shorts or anything that shows like really legs that much. Cause I don't know, in India, like it's okay to like wear like a sari and show your belly. But as far as like legs go, it's not necessarily deemed like modest. So yeah, just respecting the culture of wherever you're at and kind of the different ways that they live their life, I think is a really, really big one. And also just being aware, like awareness is such a huge thing with traveling. So just make sure like if somebody is like standing really close to you, like make sure, okay, like this person is here and I need to like watch my bag. We need to make sure, I'm like ready to like leave in case something something happens. So I think just always being on guard and aware, probably the number one thing. But honestly, like, I feel like females, it can travel anywhere. It's just having that level of awareness for sure.
Cool. Yeah. Good advice. I had a friend of mine went to India and she actually didn't have a great experience. I don't think she got sick, right? She ended up getting sick and had some issue, like some health issues there, which was scary. And her family was here. So it was a little challenging overall, but it's just, it's a long way to be.
Sick. Yeah, for sure. Getting sick in India is a real thing. You have to be really, really careful. I was lucky. I never got sick, but I also was kind of staying put when I was in India. I only traveled to a couple of places. And I was also in the South, which I think is a little bit more, I don't know, their food there isn't as like spicy, and it's not, I don't know, it's just a little bit different. Was she up north, do you know, or was she in the South?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I've heard like they have a thing called like Delhi belly that you get. Yeah, that's like you can get like super sick. But I think for me, I was like staying in one place where they had like filtered water and stuff. So
I'm going to go back. I'm jumping around like crazy. But for people that are interested in like moving from a corporate job to something more location independent, do you have any, tips or I guess just any advice for someone in that position?
Yeah, I mean, I think the number one thing is trust that it's going to work out, like I said before. I think if it's something that you want to do, I think life is definitely too short. And just look at the skills that you have and like kind of figure out, okay, maybe give yourself 6 months worth of living expenses and savings to kind of get you from that transition of, finding whatever work that you want to do. Or if you want to like build websites or something, building up your portfolio and stuff like that. So just kind of being prepared, but also just knowing that it's gonna work out for you, and it's really scary, but you're gonna be happy that you did.
Right.
So
Very good.
Yeah.
So, any big goals for you in 2018?
I think definitely be able to stop teaching. I think that's probably my number one thing, being able to kind of move forward career-wise in more digital marketing, not so much with the teaching. And I'm trying to think what else. Honestly, at this point, I feel like I'm living like my goals that I that I wanted, and so that I wanted to achieve. Being here in Berlin and kind of being settled is a way for me to figure out what I want those goals to be, I guess, if that makes any sense.
It does.
Maybe that's not the right answer, but I feel like set these huge goals of being a digital nomad and like living here in Germany for the next couple of months, that now I got there and it's like, okay,
now what?
Now what do I do?
Yeah.
So I'll keep you updated.
It makes total sense because like you set some big goals where they were great because you didn't know, like when you were in, say, Longmont, right? You couldn't have drawn the line how you ended up in Berlin. It didn't make sense at all. So now that you've made it to some place where you're like, I'm happy, you're going to have to, you're in a different like location, like geographically and personally, right? Spiritually, you're in a different spot. So now you have to see what you could see from there, I guess, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think for me, like putting more energy into YouTube as well is also a big goal, being more successful with that and stuff like that and setting goals with that. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Being in a completely different place, location wise, and also spiritually and personally, it's kind of like this reevaluation period, which I think is like, it's pretty cool because you're right. These huge goals that I achieved, and it's like, wow.
Now what?
Got there. Now I'm like, okay, well, it's like, it's amazing because now I get to be creative with them. I get to finally start creating the life that I feel like I want to live. So that's the exciting part about it.
So cool. All right. Well, where can people find you, Mackenzie? Where do you want people to go?
Yeah, so you can find me here on YouTube. Just you can just Google or YouTube my name, Mackenzie Fly, and then also you can find me on Instagram as well. I'm an Instagram addict, so I'm always on there.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll put links below so we won't have to try and spell it out or anything like that. We'll make it really easy for people to get to them. So thanks, Mackenzie. Really appreciate the time and have a great day.
Thank you so much, Doug.
Thanks a lot to Mackenzie for taking the time out to tell us your story. Really appreciate it. So everyone be sure to check out Mackenzie's YouTube channel and her Instagram. All right, let's talk about selling your home by owner. Now, This is, depending on when you listen to this, you may be hearing some of this out of order. In fact, I may be just telling the story out of order a little bit, but I think I may actually just do some episodes where, I talk about this experience. I plan on documenting it fairly well. Now, my wife and I, before we met, we actually both had homes, and because of our age, I think we bought our homes probably like the worst time that you could buy a house or any real estate in the last 100 years. So we bought our places in late 2005. So that was like the height of the market. And we thought we were being responsible, responsible adults who just got jobs. And we each bought a home, different locations and all that stuff. Like I said, we didn't know each other, but it turned out to be a really bad time to buy a house. And both of us lost a ton of money. I actually had a foreclosure in my situation. And, you learn a lot through those situations. And that's a whole other story for another day. It was a strategic foreclosure. I'll just tell you a little bit. It was a strategic foreclosure. And we basically ended up just letting the bank, auction off the place. And it didn't really hurt my credit. So that's the thing no one really talks about. If you're generally a financially, responsible person, if you have a foreclosure, not that big of a deal. The other caveat is I knew I wasn't going to be borrowing any money in the near future. So anyway, let's get back to the story about selling your place yourself. I would say I am very much uneducated in the real estate area. When I bought my home before, I think I just randomly got matched up with a real estate agent who contacted me because I filled out some form on Zillow or something like that. And she seemed moderately helpful. She kind of guided me through the process. One of my friends referred me to a mortgage broker who, again, he seemed nice and helpful, but, I didn't really know anything. I was 25, So in hindsight, I am now more aware that everyone has different incentives. People care about different stuff. And the point was made really well in the book called Freakonomics. If you haven't read it, you should check it out or listen to the audiobook or something. But they give an example of a real estate agent being very willing to accept a lower price for a home. This is the selling agent, if you're paying attention. So they don't really care if the selling price is $10,000 or $20,000 higher or lower, because they're only getting a 3% commission. And the buyer's agent usually gets a 3% commission too. So when you run the math, it's only a couple $100 for that agent. So basically, if the selling agent can sell the place more quickly, they are able to move on to another house faster. The point being, the seller's agent may not really have the seller's best interest in mind. And in the book, Freakonomics, I don't remember the exact stat. I don't have it in front of me right now, but it basically said if a real estate agent is selling their own home, they will usually hold out longer for a better offer versus taking a lower offer. And the thing is, the agent, your seller's agent, that person is advising you and they're like, oh, you should take this offer or not take that offer, or you should accept it or whatever. So they may not have, and maybe they're great. You know what? Maybe they're fine. But as I stepped back and observed, incentives for people, I kind of felt and I'm sure the real estate agent folks are going to be real upset at me, but I kind of felt in the car dealers, because I'm about to say something about car dealers and salesmen, but basically a home is just a bigger purchase than an automobile, but you have the same sort of dynamics in play. In fact, it's a little bit more complicated, in my opinion, selling real estate. However, just because something's complicated doesn't mean I'm not going to give it a shot. So that is why we are listing our house for sale on our own. And we've listed it on Craigslist so far. And I think, we could be totally wrong, but I think we have sort of a rare type of home. in that there's not that many. It's a 2-2, right? So 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. There's not that many that are this size in this price range. So there's a couple of them, and it's in the, it's like we're listing it for $272 currently right now. But anyway, there's some others that are like premium custom homes that are like $450 that are a little bit smaller than our place. But anyway, the point is we felt like we had a scarce place, right? There's not that many like it. And I was trying to figure out, and we're also moving in a very short time frame, like in less than 1 month. So I was trying to figure out how we could test the theory of like selling our home ourselves and saving that, 3 to 6% potentially versus listing it with an agent. So my thought was, and my wife and I discussed this to try and figure out a plan that wouldn't put us in some kind of weird position. But basically we're like, hey, let's list it ourselves for sale by owner. We'll, take advantage of the channels that we can to let people know about it. And we'll give it a few weeks. We'll give it a month or two. We want to test the theory to see if our place is actually as scarce as we think it is. If it's not, we'll know pretty quickly that we need the help of a professional. I think the big gap that we have, actually there's multiple gaps, but the big gap that we have is like actually showing the house, right? I have no clue. I've only looked at a couple houses myself and been hanging out with a real estate agent, and I mean, I think a lot of it is what the person's looking for. If it happens to be the right house at the right time for the right person, it doesn't matter like what I'm doing. It doesn't matter how I'm showing the house or if I'm baking cookies and making it smell like vanilla or whatever to entice the person. Like if the person doesn't want the house, they're not going to get it. But if it's the right combination, if it's the right combination of size and location and convenience and all that kind of stuff, of course the price is important, but that's listed, right? No one's going to come and look at the place if it's outside the price range, or maybe, they have a huge budget and they know they don't want anything in this price range. So that is how we're testing it. We're listing it as quickly as we can. In fact, it's a mess because we're like still trying to pack up some stuff and kind of organize some things. So it's like a disaster right now. That said, we're like, how fast can we get this up? Do we need to take new pictures or can we use the older ones? We're like, you know what? We'll just use pictures that we have from when we moved in. Who cares? We'll just get those up, even though we've like painted, we put in new floor, there's carpeting, all that kind of business. So anyway, we're giving it a shot. It's very exciting. And I can tell you, it is like Friday afternoon when I'm recording this. It is a Friday afternoon when I'm recording this. And we listed it on Craigslist. And within like 40 minutes or so, I had an email of someone who is actually going to come and look at it tomorrow morning. She had alerts set up on her price range and location and all that stuff. And little tidbit, if you're a fan of the Doug Show and the YouTube channel, you may know I have a dog named Georgie who is a border collie, and actually referenced my dog and put some pictures in the Zillow listing. And I just wanted to show it off. A lot of people have dogs here in Bozeman, Montana, and sure enough, the person that I talked to said that she had a border collie, and she actually noticed the copywriting that I did, and she was like, "Oh yeah." It really sounded interesting because it hit the points that she was actually interested in, because it was the stuff that I would want to tell someone about. It's like why I like the house. So I will keep you posted on this whole for sale by owner. Now, the other big gap, this is funny. The other big gap is I'm like reading a website on like how to sell a house. I don't know anything. I literally don't know like the process that we're going to go through, but my understanding is a lot of people have done this before. So I'm sure we can figure it out. And my understanding is the like title agency usually handles the title company. They usually handle a lot of it. So I'm hoping that is the case, but it's funny because a little bit earlier, Elizabeth was asking me like, all right, you got it listed. If somebody comes here and wants to put an offer on the house, like what happens next? Do you know what to do? And I froze and I had a blank look on my face. And then I was like, they would have to give us an offer in writing. So I kind of know some of the working pieces, but I mean, the broad strokes is all I know. Luckily, this is probably a pretty good chance that whoever buys or whoever is interested is probably working with a buyer's agent. So they will have some representation and someone who knows what the fuck is going on, because that'll be really helpful, seeing as we don't really know what we're doing. I knew this was a longer topic than I was initially thinking, because now I'm thinking of like more and more of the process. So another reason that we decided to give this a shot is because it's probably not the very last house that we're ever going to sell. And most likely, this is probably one of the smaller and cheaper homes that we will own if we own another place in the future. But we figured this is a good time. This is a good way for us to learn the process. So let's say in 10 or 15 years, we want to sell whatever home we're living in then. And maybe it'll be a lot more expensive. So any kind of mistakes that we make will be much bigger in the future than if we try it now on this, fairly small starter home, more or less. And it'll just be a little bit easier. The consequences will be a little bit less. And even if this goes a little rough and I make some mistakes, most likely it's going to be cheaper than having a real estate agent sell it for us, most likely. And I will be able to learn from it. So it's like a learning experience / saving some money / doing something new. And we're going to give it a shot. Thanks a lot for listening to this episode of The Doug Show. And if you like this interview with Mackenzie, you should definitely check out the other Digital Nomad interviews. They are good too. If you are new to the show, that is cool. Have a listen to a couple other episodes. Maybe you could subscribe if you like it. If you do like it, leave a review, leave a rating in whatever you use to listen to podcasts. If you use iTunes, that's even better. That's really where I want you to leave a review and rating. So if you have the opportunity to, it would be awesome. Thanks a lot, and we will catch you on the next episode.